we tell him too early? No, he understood it.
Right.
So, you know,
So technically, you came from a reblended family too.
well, that's what I said. There are all kinds of blended families out there. There's a lot of ways to be. There's a lot of ways to be messed up. There's a whole lot of ways to be messed up.
And we wanted him.
Touch bases on that shortly, but the common denominator that I hear from both of you is that developing the relationship is really the center of the process, and we both spoke about some apprehensions in terms of if the parent is apprehensive of you disciplining the child, and if you're apprehensive about disciplining the child because you really don't know where you fit in, and if you haven't had that conversation or that communication to say, hey, this is the role I expect you to play, you know, I'm not going to just assume this role, because even if the biological parent is in or slightly in the picture, you know, you just don't want to over assert yourself in a point, and then you wind up, you know, like isolated, like
getting your hand slapped.
Right.
And that's a real danger, that whole isolation thing, you know, in families, because there were in blended families. Let's assume that there's a husband, a wife, and a child. Let's assume the wife has the child and the husband is the stepfather. They've got a relationship that you've got nothing to do with. There's a connection and a bond there that you've got absolutely no part in, no say in whatsoever. That's been developed since before that child was born. And so now when you come into that setting, you're the third man. You know, make no mistake about that. But what you've got to do is you've got to figure out a way to develop your own lane with the child so that you all have your own thing as well. And you know, it may never be all that you thought it should be, but there are some times when it can be better than you possibly imagined.
You're working at it. Absolutely. So I talked to the amazing parents in this dynamic. Let me talk to the seeds or the siblings. Trey, you're 29, but then 29 years ago or 25 years ago, you were the only child.
Yeah, good time.
The only child. Were you the only child as well at the time?
No.
No. Okay. So you were okay. You was like number 2 or something like that with your mom. I'm saying with your mom.
Oh, I was first over there, but I wasn't the only.
Okay, gotcha. So you're the first. So, but at that point, at that particular point, and so essentially, that's this dynamic of this a new experience for you. But you were old enough to kind of understand that something's changing, right?
Yeah.
And in our production meeting, we talked about how you were, so common with Pastor John. He was the only dad figure that you knew at that particular time. Give me your perspective as to, when this whole dynamics changed. Now he went from boyfriend to fiance to now this dude's my dad, or my father. So tell me about that.
The crazy thing is, because I was so young, I don't really remember the different phases of when they were dating versus engaged or getting married. I have 2 earliest memories with him. Was one of the first things was I had a Sega Genesis, and he bought me the Sonic game.
Okay.
He bought me the Knuckles game that connects on top, that goes with the Sonic game, and then I remember the wedding. So it was like, I don't remember really, I just remember him being there. I don't remember being introduced to him. I remember my earliest memory is him just being there all the time. So it was like, I was too young to know life without him.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it was different because when they did finally explain it to me, as I was a little, like after the wedding, and they let me know kind of like, just so you know, he's not your biological dad. You have a biological dad. He's your stepdad. And so that kind of was weird because it was like I said, it was all I knew was him. Like, this is dad. And so that it was weird because it's just kind of like, okay, you almost kind of feel lied to, but then you don't because they was honest with you. So it's just a confused,
So let's go there just a little bit. How important was it for you both to explain this to Trey at that age?
It was. It was. We wanted to make sure that there was no, and maybe it's because of my own familial upbringing, which I made no secret about.
Okay.
My first memory of my mother is meeting her at the age of 10.
Okay.
My first memory of meeting my dad is at the age of 12. And so perhaps because of that, it was important that he knew that that there was a biological father out there, for him. And then that's just that openness, that honesty, I believe helped to just breed a certain level of relationship as well. Did we tell him too early? No, he understood it.
Right.
So, you know,
So technically, you came from a reblended family too.
well, that's what I said. There are all kinds of blended families out. There's a lot of ways to be. There's a lot of ways to be messed up. There's a whole lot of ways to be messed up.
And we wanted him to still, I
Have a
wanted him to
relationship.
still have a relationship with his biological father.
Right.
And so I wanted to leave the door open so that if he decided to be in his life or his family,
Right.
that he knew who they were and they were out there, and if he wanted to see them, he could voice that. You know, I thought it was important that, yes, you build a relationship with your stepfather, but you still should build a relationship with your biological father, because I understand there's this void. We can give all the love we want, but there's something about that blood biological parent that,
Can't be substituted.
yeah, it can't be. And so that we wanted to make sure we left that door open, that he understood, and he understood why his last name was different. You know, I think that was spurred the whole thing too. You know, when I took on his last name is different, you know, so I wanted him to understand why his last name was different.
So what I'm hearing is you put the welfare of the child first.
Yeah.
Regardless of your differences with
Right,
the biological
right,
or whatever.
right.
You put the welfare of the child first.
Absolutely. Because that position is not a role of, you know, biological father, particularly father, biological parent, but particularly father, is so important in the life of a young man or a young woman, you know, and so anything that we can do to try and foster that, you know, that's reasonable and healthy and safe, then I believe that we should do.
Jalen.
Hey guys, it's Pastor John here. Please, if you like this video that you just saw, hit that like button for us. Second thing I want to ask you to do is to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We're putting out videos once a day at about 5:30 p.m. Hit that bell notification so that you'll know when a new video has been uploaded. And then the final thing to do, share this video, share this information. If you know somebody that has a need that it can be benefited by it, please put it out in circulation so that we can try to help as many people as possible. Thanks, and God bless.